So George, The Wild Robot I managed to see. DreamWorks film, gorgeous animation style. It'd been very much under my radar, and I'd heard mutterings on like various Instagram stories, this is a film worth seeing. And I caught it the other night, and I had this moment where I saw it, and I didn't see it with anyone, and I had a really positive experience coming out of the cinema. I just felt really like warm and happy, and I was in the shower, and Talia came home, and I was like, Talia, from the shower, come in here. And she's like, what? I've just seen this wonderful film, and I'm so like, filled with joy and elation, and I'm beaming with positivity, and I just thought it was brilliant. I told her like the basic premise. She's like, oh, that sounds fantastic, and I was like, it was, and I'm in a better mood, and I feel like I'm a better person for having seen it.
Wow,
and that's Wild Robot. It stars a cast that includes, but is not limited to, Lupita Nyong'o, Kit Connor, Pedro Pascal, Bill Nye, Stephanie Hsu, Mark Hamill, Ving Rhames, Matt Berry, and Mark Hamill continues to be one of the most impressive voice actors working today. It's like if you know Mark Hamill's voice acting work, you'll go, that's Mark Hamill. But if you don't, it'd be completely lost on you that is Luke Skywalker. The Wild Robot is a gorgeous animation. The Wild Robot. The Robot is a gorgeous animation. I describe the style as, it's like 2D animation style, but with a really great sense of 3D depth, which I know you're saying that's probably just 3D, but it's not. It is sort of like a sort of watercolor cel-shaded Monet painting, and it's just beautiful. I have a feeling they were slightly looking over at the work of Across the Spider-Verse and said, let's take that sort of style, strip the comic book pow thwop style out of it, make it more painterly and watercolor, and I think that's where the Wild Robot sits. I think I lack the vocabulary, the design vocabulary to explain it, but that's kind of the vibe. Anyway, it was like really, really beautiful to look at. And as soon as the first scenes open, it's like wonderfully sharp and bright and saturated, and it feels like it just crisps itself into your eyes, and it's a real feast for the eyes. And it's actually, I'm probably someone who very happily dances on the tombstone of 3D technology, but I imagine this would have been a really cool film to see in 3D. Anyway, gorgeous to look at, very stimulating. The Wild Robot is all about a robot called Roz, or Rosa for something code. She crashes onto an island, a lush island with forests and canyons and waterfalls, and is immediately greeted by the very hostile wildlife. The animals are very scared to see her. And there's a very sort of like, it's a community, but they're very suspicious of each other. And she is attacked and rolled and pushed out of the community. And she's a learning robot. She's a protocol robot. So she immediately opens up her pod and says, hi, how can I help you today? You must need assistance. I am Roz. And her protocol is to do whatever someone tells her to do. But in this island with animals, nobody needs this robot. And there's a sort of mystery as to why did this robot crash land on this island in the first place? And where did she come from, and what does she want? And so she realizes that she doesn't speak any of the languages that the animals speak. So she goes into a sort of state of observation, sort of a cryosleep, and listens to weeks to all the languages of the animals until she learns exactly how they talk and she can speak to the animals. In an altercation with a bear, she ends up crashing into the nest of a gosling and finds a lone, abandoned egg, and immediately feels like she needs to protect this egg. And inside the egg is a little gosling chick who's kind of the runt of the litter. And she meets some of the other mothers of the forest, and is like, I don't know what to do with this egg. I'm not a mother. And one of the characters says, well, no one of us really know what to do. We just kind of make it up as we go along. And once realizing that this is a gosling chick that's hatched, the other animals are saying, oh, that gosling, the hibernation's coming up in the autumn. That gosling needs to learn how to eat, how to swim, and how to fly. And if it can't learn that, it's going to be big trouble. So her new prime directive becomes, I have to teach this little baby gosling how to do the basic survival techniques. And she bumps into Pedro Pascal's Fink, who is a crafty little fox who doesn't have many friends, and realizes that there's a lot to be had in helping others. And that's kind of like the opening of the film. And I thought this film was absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I started it thinking, oh, is this a kids film? Not like sort of for everyone. Would I find that much enjoyment in it? Is it just going to try and break my heart and leave me to dust? But no, I think this really is fun for the whole family. It reminds me a lot of Wall-E, Across the Spider-Verse as well, and kind of Avengers Endgame.
Really?
Oh, totally, especially in the second half. It's just brilliant. The score especially is fantastic. Music by Chris Bowers will leave you heartbroken and crying into your sleeve, jumping for joy, fist bumping the air, and just with a really warm sense of happiness. It's really brilliantly done, and I just have nothing but praise for this film. I hope you don't sleep on it, and I think you should go and see it on the biggest screen you can if you get the chance. And it sort of does what I think the film was going to do in its first half, and there's a montage in the middle which really made me weep. And I was really realizing I'm really enjoying this film, and I was like, oh, are we done here? But no, that's only the first half. And I think it takes its central idea and goes, we could have just told that type of story. Let's go and have a lot more fun with this idea. Let's expand our world. Let's fill it out with something more and tell something a little bit grander, a little bit more epic. And it does that in the second half. And it's just a lovely, warm hug of a film. It's this idea that even if you're a little bit small or a little bit weaker than other people, if your heart can make up the difference, that's all that really matters, and you're going to be just fine. And Lupita Nyong'o absolutely kills it as Roz, and just broke my heart. Even somehow robots, they have this robotic way of speaking. Basically what happens in the opening is that she has a sort of a sentient brain, which is all about prime directives, but she has to realize that she's using a different part of her programming to look after this child, and that's like obviously a sentience that's been discovered, and that is the whole thing about, if we only connect to each other with more love. It's beautiful, it's action-packed, it's funny. It's gorgeous to look at. It's just everything you want from these types of films. I think if the whole world saw it, I think we'd be in a happier, better place.
Oh wow, this is fantastic!
It's currently got 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's close to being in my group of favorite films of the year. It's really good. So go and check out The Wild Robot.
Do you know what? It's great. Is that I like you, a lot of praise. I've heard a lot of things about it, and I haven't had a chance to catch it for various reasons, like because I had to see the film we're going to review next, and it's one of those films though that. It's not a chore. I look at it and I'm like, this isn't a chore for me to watch. I'm looking forward to watching this. And obviously you just encouraged me. That's why I'm absolutely determined to try and watch this before the end of the year so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And become part of the discussion. And a discussion because people have written in about this. This is an email from Declan, friend of the show, who's written in with a very personal note at The Wild Robot. Dearest gentlemen of Pulp Kitchen, I implore you to watch The Wild Robot. This movie is the greatest of the year. I've just come out of a screening and I haven't cried so much at the cinema. I don't think ever. For me, this was a huge, emotionally impactful film as a robot rewrites her programming and for context, I was extremely close to my grandma and she truly inspired me to become the creative person I am today. She was my Roz in a way. Today is the 1-year anniversary of her death. I went home to see my dad and my dog, and then I saw the film. I had aimed to see it at my home cinema's IMAX, but the bus was late, so I accepted that I just have to go see it in regular old 2D. Now, a few years ago, before my grandma passed away, I took her to see what I knew at the time would probably be her last film at the cinema, to go and see Mary Poppins Returns. We saw it on opening weekend, and it was in Screen 1, which is the biggest of the screens. Because my bus was late to see The Wild Robot, I had to see it in that very same screen, in Screen 1. I sat adjacent to where we had sat, him and his grandmother, to watch this movie, almost 5 years since our last cinema experience, and I discovered the greatest film for me that this year had to offer. It was like she was saying goodbye and sending her love. That's how it felt, like cinematic magic. My heart is beating hard and fast, and that's what a great film should do. I really wanted to share this with you both, and the Sirens, because she may have started my creativity, but you two and this community is keeping it alive with every review you release. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for reading. I really hope you do go see it. More than that, though, I hope you take the time to appreciate the beauty of the film in your own ways, whether it be emotionally or the glorious animation or the sensational voice cast or something else entirely. This one has it all, I'd say. We've all had a motherly figure. We've all had a Roz. Much love from me. Wishing you a wonderful October. And Grandma, thank you. Best wishes, Declan. Sirens on my end, listening to the Mary Poppins soundtrack on the way home.
Yeah, it's incredibly emotional, but it's and I did cry, I think, 2 or 3 times, which is a lot. But it's ultimately a really positive and happy movie, and you come out of it just with a really sweet emotional catharsis of like, oh, I've just watched something incredibly emotionally nourishing, and you're just beaming and filled with warmth.
I can't wait to
echo
see
everything there.
A glowing review from James there. I absolutely can't wait.
I think I would enjoy it. I didn't think it would be sort of circulating in my top films of the year when I finished it, but very high praise from me.
If anyone else has seen The Wild Robot and would like to write in their thoughts, please email them in to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com and we'll read them out.